What's going on, guys? Kami here, coming at you with a, well, Coach Kami. This one's going to be of RenRektU. It's going to be Fernando gameplay on Jaguar Falls. I want to make a quick note about this. This is pre-OB61 with the nimble stacking and whatnot. This is like maybe like OB59. Sorry, I've got a lot on my docket right now. But if you want to get your own videos coached, remember, if you are a sub to me on Twitch or you are a patron, toss me a message on Discord and I will hook you up. We'll get something figured out and we'll get the video sent in to me so I can coach it. If you're not either of those, that's fine. Post down in the comments section of a champion you would want to be coached on, a way to contact you, preferably through Discord or Twitter, and why you should be chosen over everyone else. And if I do choose you, I'll toss you a message. Let's jump into the game. So RenRektU on Fernando, going with the Scorch and picking up Cauterize right at the beginning. Now he's going with Fireball, reduces healing by 80% for 3 seconds. Now, this is a good card, but Cauterize didn't stack during this time, so I don't know, like I think you should get Cauterize sooner or later, but I don't know if Cauterize is something you want to pick up right away. On this map, I think Master Riding would have been an okay pickup for you to rush in, but to take note, he's the only tank on the team. So he wants to flank, but he also is kind of in a circumstance where he can't flank too much, right? He has to play back on the point, he has to give some sort of presence, and his DPS needs to be aware that he's the only tank, but he wants to be aggressive. Safe travel, pretty good card. Only at a level 1, I mean, it's an effective 250 health every time you charge. That's fine. Last Stand 2. I like Last Stand at 2 or 1. Kind of gives you a way to heal up just a little bit as you're backing out. If the shield gets blown up, I mean, you're going to die anyway once they start getting Wrecker online. I don't think it's really worth putting more than a couple points into it. And then Incinerate 4, reduce the cooldown of your Fireball by 40%. And this is fine. I think this loadout's definitely a loadout that can be used. I think that's missing from it is a little bit of the mobility that you'll need to be able to keep up with some of the people out there, like the rolling Cassie, the slowing of the Pip, you know, the dashing of the Leon, and of course the Genos being able to run away. He's not going to be a target you're going to want to try to catch on it too much. Like I said, definitely a viable build. So going in here, you're going through the left side, and you're going to go into this hub, I would hope. There's 2 people there. You have no idea they're there. I think it's a really good move. You're going to want to try to get into the back line. That's where Fernando thrives the most. So in theory, what you'd want is the Fernando to go on point, sit up his shield, do absolutely nothing, and then you run on these back 2 people. You see the Fernando, and you do a smart move. You don't just go out there and start firing at the Fernando. And hey, what do you know? The Fernando just ran there and put up a shield. Real helpful. Now you have easy pickings. You could just sit in the back. You see your Androxus going for the flank, and you do start going in the back. You miss a Fireball, but that was just unlucky timing on the Void Grip. And now you're starting to back off. And I don't know if I agree with this, because you can still put pressure on there, but at the same time, you have to be a tank on the point, and I understand that. But the Fernando is just kind of sitting at point, not doing anything. Putting pressure back there is good. Although turning back now would be an okay decision, because your Shaolin just got picked off. But you turned back a little bit before that happened. The Fernando is really low. You can put the pressure on him. Firing out there is not really going to be able to hit anything. You just lost 2 people, 3 people right there. You'd want to run away right now, but you decided to charge in. And I mean, that's okay. You have the ability to run away, but the thing is you're going to stagger yourself a little bit. Not that bad, but you could have got away. I mean, you should have just ran away. Now, the move here of keeping your shield up, you don't want to do that, because notice, like, the Genos is back up, the Shaolin's back up. I think the Genos died. I don't know. The Drogo's just respawned, and then you have you just dying. So that kind of hurts you. So if you wanted to charge back into the point, just rush in and die. So going back into the point, you have 93%. You're not going to have enough time to get there from the route that you're going. You would have maybe been able to make it if you would have went through the main gap and dashed in there, but you're not going to be able to make it in there. Okay, well, little did I know, they just decided to get off point. So that works out. But pay attention to the timing and stuff like that and get used to how fast you need to get there, because it's 3% per tick. Sitting on point, contesting it, that's what you need to do. Keeping this corner, kind of how you're using it, I really like this. Again, you're the only tank and you're getting healed up by Genos. Or at least you should be. There it is. You want to stay alive. No, another missed Fireball due to the lift up by Void Grip. You're the last one up there right now. I would want to say I'd want to see you push up to try to get that kill. Because pushing up and getting that kill, you may lose a little bit of your capture point, but you'll stagger a huge well, I want to say DPS, but yeah, kind of a DPS. Now you're going to allow them to push in. The Pip is pushed up on the right side because you kind of let him go. But, I mean, like, if you were to fire on them, I doubt anyone else would be there, and you kind of just would have lost capture points. But if your teammates would have helped you, you maybe would have gotten the kill. I want to try to stay alive as long as possible. and you have your ultimate available, you're going to want to try to find a time to use it. I mean, just if in general, try to use it. Using the shield from the dash is good, trying to get out of combat. Sadly, dashing away, you weren't able to get back on point to get the capture point, and they took the first one. I mean, your team just keeps dying. There's not a lot you can do with that. Whoa, that was an unexpected ult. So now coming back, you've got Cauterize level 2. Pretty good. Ooh, big triple fireball. Shaolin drops it. This is time to push, and you are doing so. The old Fernando v. Fernando fight. Dropping very low, you're one to consider shielding, but they did push you also very low, and you were able to get a double kill. It's good kills there. That Pip is alone. You guys want to make sure to pressure him out, and if you can, take your time with him. But he was able to get out anyway, so staggering's not even an option. Preemptive fireball there. Screw it, it's a 4-second cooldown, right? And I like the just getting a little bit of poke damage. You don't have too much people doing poke damage on your team. Got a Drogos, a Shaolin, and Androxus. You should have it, but it just doesn't feel like it's really there. And you have no one really zoning out, and you're kind of in a 1v4 situation, so backing out would be a good play. And you weren't able to back out. So coming back into this fight, you want to... Oh, it's like a first-person shooter aspect here. You want to... This is what you need to do to stop the push going through. They have 5 people up. If you just drop 1, it's huge. You want to look at the damage. So like Cassie, Pip, or the healer. That's really going to shut them down. Because the tank sitting on point can only do so much. If he just sits there on point and holds up the shield, it's not going to be able to do anything. So you're going to want to look to push the DPS in the backline. What you could do is you can either A, go to the right side and flank in from the right, or come in through the left. I know by default, you'd probably want to push through the front. Your Shaolin is stealth right now, so you have a chance to kind of push in through. So maybe just fighting in the back line and just starting to put the damage in. You see the Pip low, the Pip gets dropped. I'd like that you turned your attention to him. But now you can just kind of sit on point. You have a DPS down, and you just want to try to keep the fireball on the back line as much as possible. Fireball just keeps going a little bit too high. Big fireball. It's a good job of zoning them out, not overextending a little bit. If you would have went through there, you might have been caught by Pip slow, and you would have been, if there were anybody else there, you'd be able to get dropped. Just want to keep blowing that fire lance into them. Remember, your last stand doesn't proc unless it's below 40% or something like that, so you don't need to pop up that shield too early. You seem like you noticed that. So not really too much to say so far. I mean, sometimes your team is just dying, and you probably don't want to get your resilience past 2, because the only one that you're really worried about is the Pip, and the Pip chicken will only get max out on level 2. So what happened last round was your team got pushed from this outside, and then they died. So what's happened this time? They got pushed on this side, and they died. You saw the Leon. I think it probably would have been better to go for the flank. Now, yes, the Fernando's going to sit on point and capture a few points, but he's not going to do anything. He's not going to help. He's just going to sit there. Look, he's just like, oh, look at me. I'm a Fernando on point. If you would have went around, you would have been able to catch the flank and help your team, because now they're just getting fragged. It's a 2v4 right now, and you could make it a 3v4. Your team should back off. Your team should find, choke points and things like that to fire through, and they're just kind of fighting on the middle of the open, and they're just getting chunked out. This fight on the Fernando, he has availability of an ult maybe being up, which he does have up. And he's just tanky. Like, it's hard to do anything about it. So you want to look for the squishy targets. And it works out well when you only have a single tank and the team just tunnels through a right or left side. Because you just follow them. You either follow them or you go through mid or the other side and you flank quick. Flanking's a little bit harder when they're hardcore deathballing into a side, because you can't get there until, later into the fight. But just staying with them and doing the DPS on the team with them instead of just going to the point and fighting the tank would have been a better move. It's a good ult there at the last second to make sure that Fernando, or that Cassie went down. Remember, you have your dash up. I'd want to see you dash out right away. That gives you a little bit better positioning, and it gives you that shield. Just keep you alive long enough for your shield to go up, and you have Genos' heal on you. That'll keep you alive. That Pip is actually all alone over there, and I would want you to push him, but you did start to push right when you started to take a little bit more damage. And this Pip is nuts, dude. Sadly, no one else there to help you with the Pip. He should get dropped, though. There we go. See, without that movement speed on the loadout card, this makes it so hard to put. Okay. Really good for Fireball there. And I like how you're not really just holding up your shield all the time. You're holding up your shield to, you know, maybe save a teammates, maybe save a little bit of damage. But you realize as you're pushing, there's times you do not need the shield up and you're getting in good poke damage. And that's what requires a successful push, is you can't push unless you get poke damage. And Fernando can't really do poke damage with his lance. And he can use his shield to block the people that can do poke damage, but it's also very good to pop out the fireballs. A couple of preemptive fireballs trying to catch that Cassie come around the corner. I like that. But now you kind of ignored her. And what's really awesome about that is if your Genos also pushes up, that Cassie's doing absolutely nothing, and you can 5-ball into their 4 right now. And that Fernando ult's going to delay it just a little bit, but the Cassie does get taken out while she's trying to go for the flank. There goes a triple kill, and you have your ult. Now, you'll want to use it preemptively. You could use it to counter some things, like the, I don't know, Pip ult or something like that if you feel like it's going to come. But you want to use it before it actually goes off. You can also use it for the Leon ult. I like this little flank you're doing here. Big fireball onto the Leon.
Let's make this interesting.
Oh, no! So there, when you got chickened, you were pretty much at full life, right? You were at full life. It's kind of a panic thing to do, but when you see yourself so low, you just want to spam your ultimate, right? But the thing is if you can't use it, you're going to die. And if you can use it, that means you're going to get out, and you're going to be at full life, so you don't really need it right away. So be careful on that one. You could have charged, you could have, used your shield, and you could have saved it just for a little bit longer. Remember, your Androxus just died. And your Charlene just died, so you don't really have your DPS right now. 3 people down. Now, you want to push them in general to make sure they keep them off, but right now you want to get out because you have nothing going on and your whole team just kind of died. Really easy to lose track of that stuff when you get so close to pushing it in, and then you turn around, where's my team? Oh, they're respawning. Crap. There's a Resilience 2 and a Cauterize 3. That's what I'm talking about, baby.
30 seconds remaining.
You guys have time for one more push, but you need to be careful on where you push. You see the Pip over on the right side, you're going to want to make your push over on the left side. That's where you want to be at, because that's a spot that Fernando wants to go on the push. He doesn't normally want to go to the right side. That leaves him susceptible to a disengage off the map, and that just leaves him susceptible to long-range combat. This one, you have a nice little tight corridor, and you can even go over inside of here into that other little hole. Just really good for Fernando. That's where you want to make the push, or going through the front. But you have 20 seconds, so right, if you're going in through this front side, what that's doing is that's allowing you to take a lot of chip damage. If you want to go over to the left side, you have a little bit of time. I would suggest doing that. The less chip damage you can take while going in for that final push, the better. There's another chicken, and you should be able to survive that, though, with Resilience, too. Really good pick up on your part.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Weren't able to get it, but it was close. It's a good try, and you almost have your ultimate back up. For your next item, you could choose to go to Resilience 3, but like I said, Resilience 3 is only going to help you against the slowing and the crippling, or the lift up of Genos. In general, I would just suggest Master Riding, especially because every time you notice you're going the right side, your team's going the left side, and then they die, and it's like, man, I wish I could be there faster. Well, introducing a brand new item, Master Riding. So a thing that I suggest while you're pushing is right when you're coming in through here, or right when you're about to go around the corner, do like a quick 180 if possible. Look to see what your team's doing, and then make your decision on what you want to do. Now remember, the Cassie just ulted, so they see you. You can kind of get into the position to peek, but there could be a person right up here around this corner, so you got to be careful of that. That Fernando is going to be on the point. He got a preemptive fireball out of there. You could have maybe used that as an information to where maybe just kind of fake peek it, I guess, because you knew the Fernando was going to be on point. But right now, you were fighting this Fernando, and you're also having this Cassie. You don't want to fight this for very long. You'll probably want to get out of there. And remember, you can get flanked right now from the right side, so watch your booty. Hey, look at that. When your team just doesn't die immediately, you guys get capture the point. It's crazy. And I like how aggressive you're being, too. You're not just sitting on the point. You're making sure that you're helping out a little bit. That Genos maybe could have peeked over there and just kind of fired at you a bunch over on the right side. So right here, the dash forward and the immediate drop of the shield. I maybe would have wanted to see you drop your shield a little bit earlier before going out there, because then you left yourself susceptible to being able to get dropped out. But it was a 3-man fireball you looked at. I don't blame you for dropping the shield. And they just so happened to all be in that choke point, and they just all blew up on you, and it sucks. You do end up going with Resilience 3. That's fine. Pip slows are nothing. Genos lifts are nothing. You're definitely going to want to charge in and start putting pressure on the point. At 90% and ticking, it's going to keep going. And you are able to tick it. Remember, you don't have to be on it for that long. You have it just for a second in the overtime procs. You have that. Good double fireball lining that up with the Leon. Charging, getting the shield from the charge. Literally saving your life right now, but your Genos is not alive. Although it shows the healing from it. Dancing around too much can sometimes be detrimental to your teammates because they can't hide behind your shield because they don't know what you're going to do. You're just kind of dancing around like a madman. So you notice the Drogo sitting there at 1 life. I may be focused when you have that shield up to really be helping your teammates out. Make sure they try to stay alive as much as possible. Well, that Fernando's just literally allowing you to flame his butt, like, you know, just straight tan style. If you notice when he fireballed here, it's actually a really good move, an attempt. Notice how he's strafing right? He was trying to line up the Genos with the Kasi, or sorry, with the Leon, and that was a really good move. And that's something you always need to try to keep in mind, especially when you're running the Scorch build, is always try to line up your targets. Look for double fireballs as much as possible. He guessed left, but the Leon went right. Pretty big fireball, good chip damage. Like that's a 700 chunk to your Leon, or to their Leon. And hey, they got cauterized on it. You know, normally wouldn't apply to it. But Brand is turning out to be pretty good. That was the best Drogo Assault I've ever seen in my life. I'll be real with you guys. So pushing forward right now, again, I want to see you getting up in here. This is just a really good spot for Fernando. The shield covers the whole corridor. Drogos can shoot through here to give good chip damage. Andro also really likes it up here, close range battle. So Andro and you could duo it up here. Shaolin would want to go up here and try to pick and make sure that you can't get pushed there. You have the ground, you know what I mean? So if you immediately push up there and your Genos pushes in 3 of them down, Genos on cart, Shaolin up here, Andro and you over here. Bing, bang, boom. And then, of course, Drogo's just kind of spamming. Now, you're going to assume that this Pip has ult right now. I would assume this Pip has ult. But you have Resilience 3, so you're going to be good. It's going to be at the minimum of 2 seconds. So be careful about forcing your ult out just a little bit too early. It's a good job backing off. But keeping the pressure on. And that's the trick. When you're pushing, that's the hardest thing to do is keep forward pressure enough to where they push their back, you push the enemy back, but not too much overextension to die.
I will not die. Not yet, amigo.
I think the ult was okay. You've got your healer up. One of the worst times ever to ult is when you don't have your healer up. But I don't see him anywhere nearby, but it looks like he's got healing on you right there. You had your dash up. You could have dashed. You could have got the shield up, but the ult was fine too. You're going to have enough time now to also build it. And if you can just stay alive and let that Shaolin do chip damage, you see your Shaolin over on the right side. He's making his push right now. If he can get some hits, there's one, and you get another one down. This is your time to push.
Let's make this interesting.
It's a nice fire spit for that Drogo's finishing it off. Ooh, that punch on the Fernando might end it right there. And it does. No one else getting on the point. GG. Overall, really good gameplay, in my opinion. I think maybe you could have been up on the left side a little bit when you were pushing, and your aggressiveness was in the right mindset, but it just wasn't coming through enough, and your whole team was just getting melted. But that's kind of on your team, too. You know, if you're looking at a certain side, and the other team is coming up and deathballing into you for the most part, except for the Fernando just sitting on point doing nothing, don't die. Like, let people do other stuff. You had the sustain, the same amount of sustain that they had, for the most part, and there's no reason to kind of get picked off there that early. That kind of leaves you with nothing you can do. Loadout cards, Brand, I mean, that works for good long-range poking just to give a little bit of cauterize while you're trying to get those big fireballs off. Works really well with Scorch. But there were times when you were trying to flank and you couldn't really keep up with them, and the movement speed from the dash or the movement speed from the fireball would have been really nice. And maybe even both now with the changes from Nimble stacking. And maybe even grabbing Nimble. You might be a crazy flying Fernando now. Like I said, overall, good gameplay. And again, if anybody else is interested, well, I told you how to do it at the beginning. Hopefully you were there. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.
Hey, thanks for watching. I'm not gonna be one of those people who asks you to like and subscribe, so I'm not gonna ask.